When I first started to pay attention to my health and began to think about the foods I was eating, I started reading nutrition labels pretty obsessively. I was comparing labels between two different types of crackers when it hit me. What am I even looking for? I knew the basics of nutrition. I knew what carbs, protein, and fat were. I knew what too much sodium looked like and to avoid saturated fat and cholesterol. And I figured you should maximize the vitamins and minerals that are listed, which are usually just vitamin A, C, iron, and calcium. But what was I really looking for? Should I choose these crackers because they have 1 more gram of protein and less fat? Or should I choose these crackers because they have more fiber and 8% of my daily iron instead of 6%? I still wasn't sure how to decide, so I consulted the ingredients list. You can pick up a little more information if you look at the ingredients, and especially if you know what to avoid. Things like added sugars and oils, refined grains, preservatives, and animal products. But even by looking at the ingredients, the two crackers are nearly identical. So how are you supposed to choose? What are you looking for on a nutrition facts label? How can you tell if a food is healthy or not? As I racked my brain considering this question, I turned around and saw an apple sitting in the produce section. I knew that fruits and vegetables didn't have labels on them, and yet I also knew that the apple was healthy. How did I know this? It finally dawned on me. These crackers could sit on the shelf for 6 years and still come out of the bag perfectly fresh and as edible as they were today. I was asking the wrong question. It wasn't about what the label was telling me, but about what type of food it was that I was considering. The apple was alive. These crackers were dead. In this moment, I realized that most of what makes a food healthy does not show up on the nutrition facts label. I went home to see what the apple's label would look like if it did have one. And honestly, it's not that impressive. You'd think it was not very healthy if you were just to look at the label. The best thing it has going for it is 5 grams of fiber and 17% of your requirement for vitamin C. But here's the rub. The vitamin C in the apple accounts for less than 1% of its total antioxidant capacity. Yet the other 99% of those nutrients are never listed on the label. In fact, there are thousands of phytochemicals and other micronutrients in whole plant foods that have incredible health benefits that don't show up on the label. I used to think it was a problem that fruits and vegetables didn't have labels, that it was unfair. But the reality is the label is the problem. It's like looking at an old blurry cell phone picture of the Mona Lisa. Sure, it captures some of the beauty of this incredible painting, but it pales in comparison to the real thing. Most of the detail has been lost. And because those crackers are dead, it means they don't really have any phytonutrients in them. So the label doesn't actually miss any detail when it comes to a processed food. But when applied to a whole plant food, it misses almost all of the detail. So this is what I realized. Feed your body foods with complexity like the Mona Lisa. Foods that are alive. Foods that are packed with nutrition that go beyond the label. Of course, I'm talking about whole plant foods. The fruits and seeds, the vegetables, grains, and beans. These foods are literally packed with thousands of health-promoting compounds that feed your cells the things you need to thrive. A couple of rules. If it doesn't rot, don't eat it. That apple would rot if you let it sit out, but those crackers, they'll never rot. If it sits in a box on a shelf, it doesn't matter what the label says. It's a dead food. Eat live foods. Whole plant foods are alive. Animal foods and processed foods are dead. Speaking of dead foods, the whiter the bread, the sooner you'll be dead. And the more colorful your plate, the more often you'll feel great. So eat colorful plant foods and go beyond the label. Here are 3 examples. Scientists do a study on the healthfulness of carrots and find that people who eat more carrots are healthier. Then they ask, what is it about the carrots that makes them so healthy? They discover that carrots contain a compound called beta-carotene, so they isolate this compound and give it to people in supplement form. In this study, however, they find no benefit.